Fear shows up when a door opens. Most people feel it and turn back. Not because they can't walk through, but because they don't trust themselves on the other side. Yet every major transformation in human psychology begins the same way. With discomfort, with uncertainty, with a quiet voice asking, "What if this is who I'm supposed to be?" That question is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you up. The person you're afraid to become is not your enemy. That person is your future calling your name. That fear you feel does not disappear by understanding it. It disappears when you stop obeying it. Once you see fear for what it really is, a signal instead of a stop sign, the real work begins. This is the moment where most people hesitate. They wait for confidence. They wait for clarity. They wait for motivation to feel strong enough. But psychology is clear on this. Confidence is not a feeling you wait for. It is a result you earn through action. Movement creates belief, not the other way around. The mind follows the body. When you act despite fear, your brain updates its story. It starts to believe, maybe I can handle this. Each small action rewires your identity. This is how change becomes permanent. Not through thinking, through repetition. Fear survives in stillness. Action starves it. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need permission. You don't need to feel ready. Ready is a feeling that shows up after commitment, not before. The people who change their lives are not braver than you. They simply move while fear is still talking. And there's something else you need to understand. Waiting feels responsible, but it is often disguised avoidance. The mind loves the idea of someday. Someday feels safe. Someday feels smart. Someday asks nothing from you today. But psychologically, someday is how potential slowly fades. Not with a loud failure, but with quiet delay. Every day you delay becoming who you know you could be, you train yourself to stay the same. So they choose a smaller identity. Not because it fits them, but because it feels safer. They stay quiet so they won't be criticized. They stay average so they won't stand out. They stay comfortable so they won't be challenged. Psychology calls this self-protection. But over time, it becomes self-betrayal. Look closely at the fear you feel. It is very specific. It doesn't say, you will lose everything. It whispers, people will notice. It says, what if you change? What if you outgrow them? What if you become someone they don't recognize? That fear is not about danger. It is about identity loss. The old version of you senses that its time is running out. Here is the truth most people never hear. The intensity of your fear is directly connected to the size of your potential. Small goals create small fear. Big callings create loud fear. If the future you imagined didn't matter, your mind would not fight it this hard. The resistance is proof that something meaningful is waiting on the other side. Psychology also tells us this. The brain exaggerates the pain of change and minimizes the pain of staying the same. It tells you that becoming disciplined will be exhausting, but it stays silent about the regret of wasted years. It tells you that being seen is dangerous, but it ignores the quiet suffering of invisibility. Fear is biased. It only shows you half the picture, and that is why so many people live their entire lives running from the very person they were meant to become. The person you are afraid to become is not arrogant, not selfish, not unrealistic. That person is focused, grounded, certain. They set boundaries. They stop explaining themselves. They stop waiting for permission. And that threatens the comfort of your current self. But here is the most important shift. You're not afraid of becoming that person. You are afraid of the moment you realize you always could have been. What if the fear you feel right now is not warning you to stop, but daring you to move forward? Think about it. Every time you imagine becoming stronger, louder, more confident, more disciplined, something inside tightens. Your chest feels heavy. Your mind searches for reasons to wait. That reaction is not random. It shows up only when something matters. Only when the version of you on the other side is powerful enough to change everything. Most people never question this fear. They assume it means danger. They assume it means they are not ready. But what if that fear is actually a signal that you're standing at the edge of your next level? Stay until the end of this video, and you will gain a shift in perspective that can permanently change how you see fear, growth, and yourself. A shift that makes moving forward feel inevitable, not forced. From a psychological point of view, the human brain is not designed to chase greatness. It is designed to keep you alive. It loves patterns. It loves familiarity. It loves what feels normal, even if that normal is boring, painful, or limiting. When you think about becoming more disciplined, more visible, or more successful, your brain doesn't see opportunity. It sees risk, new responsibility, new expectations, new chances to be judged. So it activates fear, not to protect your future, but to protect your comfort. That is why fear shows up right before growth. Not after, right before. You are not afraid because you are weak. You are afraid because the version of you that could exist would demand more from you. More focus, more consistency, more courage. And deep down, you know that once you become that person, there's no going back. No more hiding behind excuses. No more blaming time, people, or circumstances. Responsibility becomes yours. This is the fear most people never admit. They are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of succeeding and having to live up to it every single day. Comfort becomes a habit, and habits shape identity. Staying where you are has a cost. It just doesn't demand payment up front. The price comes later, in frustration, in regret, in the feeling that life moved forward without you. Discipline hurts in a moment, but regret hurts in silence for years. This is why growth feels uncomfortable. Your nervous system is adjusting to a higher standard. Your identity is expanding. You are shedding an old version of yourself that was built for survival, not fulfillment. That version did its job. It kept you safe. But safety is not the same as purpose. The version of you that scares you is not reckless. That version is intentional. They choose structure over chaos. They choose long-term respect over short-term comfort. They stop reacting and start deciding. And once you step into that identity, your standards change. What you tolerate changes. How you speak to yourself changes. This is where fear loses its power. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer controls your choices. You begin to understand something deeply human. Growth is lonely at first. When you change, the environment resists. People may misunderstand you. Some may distance themselves. That is not punishment. That is alignment. When you rise, your surroundings must either rise with you or fall away. Psychology calls this identity conflict. It is uncomfortable, but necessary. Are not becoming someone else. You are removing the limits you learned. The most dangerous lie fear tells is this: if you don't try, you won't lose. But the truth is harsher. If you don't try, you lose slowly. You lose self-trust. You lose momentum. You lose belief in your own word. And once self-trust is gone, motivation has nothing to stand on. Every time you act in alignment with the stronger version of yourself, even when it's hard, you rebuild that trust. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you follow through, that you don't abandon yourself when things get uncomfortable. This is how self-respect is built. And here is the final shift that changes everything. The person you are afraid to become is not waiting for some future version of you. That person is built through today's choices. One decision at a time, one uncomfortable action at a time. You don't wake up one day transformed. You wake up after hundreds of moments where you chose growth over fear. Fear will still whisper. It always does, but it will no longer decide. Because the moment you step toward the version of you that scares you, you stop living a life based on avoidance and start living a life based on intention. That is freedom. And once you taste it, you will never want to go back.